Cool. Okay. Hello, folks. Welcome to the Image Builder office hours. We do this every 2 weeks at this time. It's the 14th of August, early in the morning if you're in California. Otherwise, who knows? We are a subproject of SIG cluster Lifecycle, and therefore we try to abide by the general Kubernetes community rules, our code of conduct, which, as you probably know, basically boils down to try not to talk over each other. We try to use the raise hand feature in Zoom and just generally be nice to each other. Not that we have any issues in this area, but that is the prelude we get through before each meeting. Does anybody want to introduce themselves and say hi while you're here? I don't know if this is the first time for anyone or not, but I'll be quiet for a minute so you can do that.
Yeah, I haven't joined this call before, although I think I'm technically an approver on the QCal2 stuff. I'm a maintainer of Kappa Cluster API provider OpenStack. I have an interest in this project, and I'm here with a bucket of popcorn because of the HashiCorp stuff.
Awesome. Great. Welcome. Thanks for coming. You go by Matt or Matthew?
Matt.
Matt. Okay. We're both Matt, but we'll figure it out. Names are overloaded.
I thought it was interesting that you joined, Matt, because I think I've had interactions with you around the OpenStack stuff when all that went in. I'd not seen you before, so I thought, I wonder why he's come. HashiCorp, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for joining. All right, let's move on to our agenda. I just came up with some random thoughts last week and put them here. So wondering if anybody is interested in being a reviewer. Basically, I haven't run this by the existing maintainers, but I'm sure we could always use new blood. So basically, if anyone wants to volunteer or wants to be voluntold, I think that'd be great. I'm not looking specifically at you, Drew, but if you're interested.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I was wondering it too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it. Obviously, there's elements I rarely touch, but I'm certainly happy to start putting my 2 cents in on things. I try and help out where I can, as you know. So yeah, I'm happy to.
I mean,
take
I've already seen you doing reviews and stuff already, so I
unofficially.
Think, yeah, well, you know, you've been commenting and helping with that.
Yeah. I'll try and help out where I can. Obviously, you know that I'm more than happy to do that.
All right.
Yeah, we're always welcome for the help.
Yes. Yeah.
I will make the little nomination PR then, if that's okay with you. That would be great.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
Drew, are you already a Kubernetes member in the org member?
No, I'm not. No, my first contributions have been within this project. So when I opened that massive OpenStack PR, that was my first foray into the world of actually contributing. I felt it was probably time after many years of using it all. So yeah.
Okay.
So we'll have to go through that first, but
sure.
Both me and Matt can be a nominee for you on that.
Sure.
That should be fine.
Yeah, there are some criteria. You have to make a few contributions over like 3 months or something like that. It's not super strict, but yeah. I would think you qualify, but we'll check it out.
I think I've probably done that, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. All right. Next thing, it seems like we ought to do a release. I was thinking specifically because we got the most recent version of Packer in there. And also there's an issue out there about maybe we should bump Container D to the 1.7 series, and that just feels like it could break a lot of things potentially. So I'm proposing to do a release like today or soon if we have anything to wait for. What do you guys think?
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do we know if any of the sorry.
No, go ahead, James.
Do we know if any of the major cloud providers have gone to 1.7 Container D?
I really don't know. Is it something we should check out? Like maybe there's some,
or if we see ourselves as kind of like getting it out there and being the leading edge.
I don't think that's what we want to do in general in Image Builder. We want to be up to date but conservative because we don't test everything. We really practically can't. And at this, so it's somewhat of a crapshoot every time we update a component. We could break someone else that we don't necessarily know about.
Maybe it's worth asking in the cluster API, the general channel, what people's thoughts are, whether they're ready to upgrade Containerd or not. Either way, I think we need to get it was good to get the release out, and then we can work out whether we need to bump that version or not.
That's true. It's not
I
strictly
think
related.
getting the cluster API communities take on that would be important.
Cool. All right, so I can go ahead and do a release unless somebody else is excited, but it's really not a lot of work. I'll go ahead and do a release sometime today. Then I don't think there's anything in the queue. Maybe we should check that we're really waiting for. Is there? This may not need to be merged, I guess, in the end, and everything else is sort of in progress or dormant, I think. All right, well, so I'll go ahead and it'll be 118.
Yeah, I think there's one that we have commented on in the past couple of days, the QEMU stuff. I think he's waiting for, I'm not sure actually, it was running pipelines and then it seems like something failed. So I don't know if he needs to just run a retest because it's a bit flaky or not. I've not actually checked it yet. I just noticed earlier on today when I had one of them open, tab open.
So that maybe could merge today?
I possibly, if the test pass, it might do, but I don't think it'd hurt to do a release today and then that potentially go into the next one. It's been a pretty long hanging fruit as it is. So I think another release wouldn't hurt. It's the way I'm kind of looking at it. If it doesn't retest today and go through.
Okay. I'll take a look at it, and if it seems like it's mergeable, we can do that. Otherwise, let's release without it. All right. And then Marcus put in this issue about, we still have Ubuntu 18.04 and some other ones supported, which are well out of support, and it's just baggage we should clean up. But it takes, I guess, in a perfect world, people who are invested in specific areas of this project would jump in and do it on their own, but probably it's on us or someone who's motivated to actually go around and try and pull 18.04 support out. So I'm just kind of calling it out here. I don't know if anybody has time to start working on this. I might be able to peck away at it in the next week or so.
Yeah, I think in that issue I listed out all the ones that are still hanging around. So it could be either we do them all in one go or do them one by one or whatever. I think doesn't make much of a difference. But I guess that gives another good excuse to do a release now before we go and remove those, and then the next version can be like without those old versions of Ubuntu left in.
That's a good call. In theory, someone could still be paying for like Ubuntu 18.04 enterprise support, which gets you critical bug fixes for a couple more years. So someone might want legacy support, but in general, we don't want to advertise anything.
Yeah, but if need be, they can either stick with an older version of Image Builder or add in the support themselves through their own pack values and stuff.
Yeah,
I think the only thing here is like if we're gonna do it, let's just pull them all out and then kind of announce it, because I don't think any of the CAPI providers are suggesting it as a recommended version anymore. At least I'd hope not. So I don't think we should either.
Yeah, I agree with that. But in reality, what will probably happen is someone will still be building it in their pipeline, and this will effectively break them, which is a good thing, hopefully. But yeah, but no one should be promoting it. Yeah.
Do we want to maybe also add some documentation at the same time to say how, if you do still need this, how you would go about making use of it going forward, like how to provide your own set of values and stuff?
Yeah.
Or maybe that's overkill because it is deprecated. I don't know.
Well, it would be really easy to add just somewhere, use this version of the container to build stuff because it still has the old targets, I guess. If you need 1804
Yeah, that's
support,
easy enough.
use the 117 or the 118 tag. We could do that pretty cleanly.
Yeah, works for me.
Right on. All right. So just trying to raise the visibility of this one. Maybe I'll have time to get started on some of it soon. Let me stop talking. Marcus, you can drag us through the fun issue here.
Yeah. So hold on, can't move past it. So if you haven't already heard, over the weekend, HashiCorp have changed their licensing going forward to be business software license 1.0, I believe. This has a lot more restrictions in who can actually then use their products anymore. And basically, my very rough understanding is it comes down to if you offer a competitive solution to HashiCorp in some way, you may be not then able to use their products without paying because of this license. This is going forward. So any versions from now on will have this new license. Now, because we use Packer pretty heavily within Image Builder, we are almost certainly impacted by this. We have, I believe you did, Matt, the other day, pinned it to the latest version that's on the old license from HashiCorp. So as long as we don't bump the Packer version, we are still within the we're still within the legality of using the old license. But obviously there's a limitation to how long we could do that because security vulnerabilities, etc., and features, all that kind of thing. At this point, I think within this discussion, it's more just making people aware of this because there is an issue open with CNCF at the top level kind of thing where they're collecting all the areas within CNCF projects that may be impacted by this change. And we're still waiting on any sort of official guidance from CNCF into whether changes and stuff need to be made and kind of who's impacted and all that kind of thing. Because, we're developers, not lawyers. So it doesn't make sense for us to just instantly implement something without being sure. But the general feel, at least that I've got, is Image Builder is one of the top priorities with regards to this because of our direct use of the Packer binary, whereas most other most other projects that seem to be impacted are more using either libraries from HashiCorp that are still going to remain under the old license, or are using their tools in non-production ways, which is not in conflict with the new license. That definition of like non-production versus production use is a little murky as far as I'm aware, and I think it would be very much on HashiCorp's side to decide what is production use and what's not. So I think a lot of people are choosing not to risk it. So we may need to come up with a solution that moves us away from Packer, which would be a huge change if that is the case. If anybody has any bright ideas, that'd be great to hear now. There is an issue open in our repo where we're collecting any information about this. And as I said, it links out to the upstream CNCF one as well. To just keep an eye on the wider state of things. But yeah, I do expect that we will see some fallout or some work that's needed on our end from this, because I'm pretty sure that, for example, Microsoft and AWS will no longer be able to use Image Builder to build CAPZ and Kappa AMIs, for example, if we upgrade to a new version of Packer because of this license change. as I said, not a lawyer, may have that misunderstood, but we're being very cautious here because it is quite a drastic change.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty impactful on everyone, isn't it? So from what I'm reading, us using it in Image Builder wouldn't be considered competitive anyway. It, in theory, should be fine. It's the end users that use the Image Builder that would be impacted. But from what I'm reading in the FAQ as well, they wouldn't hold us to account for that. That's down to the end user to know about that. So now, I don't want to volunteer her here, but Amanda Brock of Open UK is a lawyer by trade. So it might be worth reaching out to them just to see if they can clarify anything on this for us. I'm sure she'll probably already have an opinion on it, to be honest. So
I'm sure she does.
So my boss does actually know her.
I know her as well.
Personally, so do you know? Yes, as I say, I know
Yeah.
he does some work with her around Open UK and the Kubernetes community days and things like that. So I can see if he can reach out maybe and say, has she got an opinion on this yet, or has she read the license?
It's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah, might be worth. I don't know if you can ping her on GitHub or not. So yeah, I'll see if he can put a feeler out there, as it were, to see if she's had a chance to digest it and has an opinion on this.
So
but we are also sorry. Go on.
Oh, sorry. I should raise my hand. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we're also waiting on hearing back from CNCF and getting their position on it. You know, because we are a CNCF project effectively, so we will go by whatever guidance they give. And the general gist so far seems to be move away from HashiCorp stuff if possible. Is the feeling that I've got from the issue, but yeah. Sorry, go on. I wasn't sure who had that hand up.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, I was going to say essentially the same thing. I think we should go into a holding pattern for a few weeks while we wait for the CNCF to say like yay or nay in either direction, and then reevaluate again in September. Because I think we have at least until December. I think I saw on the blog post,
yes,
right?
End of the year they will do security patches. Yeah.
It would be a pretty big heavy lift if we have to move to something else, probably. But I mean, I don't even know what options are out there. But I think if we wait a few weeks, we might get some guidance at some point here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, agreed. I can't find the raise hand button. Sorry to interrupt.
I couldn't either. So
when I'm presenting, I just can't find it. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have any choice but to just kind of see what happens. That CNCF thread is really active, and most people are trying to find some way to stop using it. And in CapC this morning, we had the Dependabot hand us a big update for some HashiCorp library. And I was like, oh, we better not merge this. But of course, it's just one of the libraries. So all that stuff stays under MPL. But still, I'm kind of, like everybody, I'm kind of freaked out about HashiCorp now. For now, right, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, one of my colleagues basically said that anything HashiCorp now is effectively toxic. Like everybody's going to be on edge with it, and it's a risk. So, yeah,
that's a big change. It's hard to imagine what we would use instead of Packer. Certainly, we can do anything we want with software, but the image builder is not much more than a wrapper around Packer, really. So,
yeah, that
would be hard.
Yeah, I do worry that if we do need to come up with a different solution, it would be building something from scratch, because I don't think there's, I may be wrong because I've been out of this kind of area for a while now, but I don't think there's much that's alternative to Packer at that kind of level. So,
I mean, Terraform gets you. Oh wait, never mind. Sorry. Okay, well, I don't think there's any other real action items here. We seem to have pounced on it right away. And we'll just wait until there's some more clarity, I guess. Hopefully this current release 192 gets us by for quite a while.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Yeah. Anything else about HashiCorp and Image Builder? Should move on. Marcus, you had a question about installing agents.
Yeah, this came up from one of my colleagues.
Uh-oh.
Today, another team's kind of looking at running Kubernetes. Our particular case is teleport, so that we can have like SSH access to nodes that we roll out. I was just kind of wondering how other people are handling that sort of use case with Image Builder. How are people going about adding extra running services to the images that they build? Are they just kind of adding their own roles, or is there something that I'm like? Is there a trick or a pattern that I'm missing here? Anybody on the call happens to have ideas? I know I spoke to Drew a bit on Slack about this already, but
So
Yeah,
the,
so
go
sorry,
ahead.
go on. I can't find
No,
that
no, you
raise
have
hand button
something to
either.
say. Go ahead, Drew.
I was going to say, yeah, we've talked about it earlier. I don't have a solution for the unpacking of tar GZs at the moment. That's the only thing, and it has highlighted it because I did have that issue where I was creating a release of one of our own things that I wanted to pull into it. Teleport was another example of that as well. And in the end, I kind of ignored the teleport requirement for now and ended up just putting a straight binary up on GitHub for all of the stuff because I didn't know a way around that at the time with the view of coming back to it. And then I won't lie, I forgot about it until you mentioned it today, Marcus. So yeah, it's something we should probably consider. I send reactions. Thank you. Yeah, it's probably something we should consider on how we might want to handle things like that because obviously no one packages their binaries in the same way. It's something about how we're going to take that approach. Someone did put in a suggestion in, didn't they? But I don't know if that was feasible for what we need.
yeah,
Sorry, this is just my 2 cents.
I was just about to say somebody about an hour ago suggested you could add your own role and do it that way. You can specify pre and post node roles and reference them yourself through the path and stuff like that, which could well be a way of doing it, but it does then mean that like everybody's got to build their own Ansible roles themselves for this kind of thing. And yeah, it's not ideal, but again, having a common and flexible enough way of doing this for all sorts of different tooling and all sorts of different use cases, I can't see a clean way of exposing that to users of Image Builder, at least at this point. I don't know if others may have any ideas, but it sounds like there's enough. Excuse me. There's enough potential desire for this for it to be worth at least opening a feature request issue, and we can start discussing it there and seeing what we can come up with.
I would think so. I'm not super clear on what the so what defines
Basically,
an agent like this? Is it that it's kind of vendor specific, like you would only want to do it on a vendor, or is it the packaging? I guess I'm confused by the tar GZ thing as well.
So the thing here, the one that we're specifically wanting is Teleport, and they have a URL you can get their latest version from, and it is a tar GZ file that you then unpack and put somewhere in your system and have it as then a startup service, and it runs as a background service on all of your nodes. And Teleport allows you to then do things like SSH access to it via Teleport rather than exposing the SSH port, things like that. Usually like reverse proxies or something. The problem is that we have no way other than kind of taking Image Builder repo, adding your own roles to it, and then running that. We don't really have a way of users, for example, using the Docker file and adding, say, like these extra binaries or services, whatever, that they want to then run on their nodes through that way. The only really other way that we have of doing it is including it as user data that runs at startup, which is not ideal because obviously network issues could cause that to fail, and then you've got one node that's different to another node and all this kind of things. So yeah, we're looking at ways to build it into the images themselves directly. but ideally in a non-specific to us kind of way. It'd be nice if this was a reusable pattern or feature or whatever. And I know in the past I've seen people ask about how to go about installing like security agents that are required in enterprises and stuff like that. So the names completely escape me now, but like this, I've worked in enterprise before where they require every machine that they run to have a particular agent running that then feeds back with, security, vulnerability data and all that kind of thing, which I guess would also need configuration to go along with it. So it's not just a case of having a service that you can download a single binary, but you also then need to kind of configure it as well.
James?
And I was just catching up on the thread. The load additional components doesn't work for this because of, it doesn't have enough ability to customize.
Yeah, exactly. So if it was a single binary, if it was a single executable, that'd be fine. The problem here is that what we're working with is targz, so that role currently doesn't support unzipping, unarchiving. So we could add that in. But then you've got the whole, how do you configure things? How do you make sure it's in the right path? And the interface for the user through all these Ansible variables then gets quite long and messy, and it can work, but I don't think it's the best user experience and things like that. But it sounds like there's no ideal solution from what I've heard. So yeah,
I think we discussed it at one of the other meetings where maybe if we had we have no way to show, we have the ability to add in additional roles, but we don't really have any examples or documentation on how to do that. And I don't think it's that challenging to do. And so if we maybe had documentation there, that would maybe unlock that.
I think that's a very good point, because it hadn't even occurred to me to do that until it was mentioned, like I said, about an hour ago in that thread. So I think if we did have those common examples of how to do various things, just having a way of here's an example of how to install teleport onto your nodes, copy and paste, change a couple values, and you're done. Yeah, maybe that is the solution then. But I'm, like I said, this is another team in my company that's looking for this sort of thing. So I'm going to catch up with them tomorrow and see if that approach is suitable, and if so, maybe they can contribute these examples to Image Builder, so we can have actual real world examples in there with this sort of stuff.
True.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I think you're right, James. I think it was when I was talking about the security features we wanted to add. I think that's what it was, wasn't it? Because I was going to add Trivia and Falco as roles, which I've got ready, and I was going to push at some point, but I haven't got around to doing yet, because there's a few other testing bits I need to do around it. But I think the discussion was around having like a community roles directory within the project that could be added to, and we somehow import that into the main ads run. So I guess it's just looking at how we need to do that. If I can find time in the next couple of weeks, I can see if I can have a go at something like that, obviously, and try and maybe get a start on that. And then, yeah, I guess it's a case of having, it feels a bit doing a lot of repetitive stuff if we had a teleport role, and for want of a better description, I know we wouldn't need it, but a Helm role or something, because that also pulls the targz down. I know we wouldn't do that, but just as an example of another targz you might pull down. So I think we'd still need a way of maintaining that somehow to make it a little bit less anti-dry, let's say, for want of a better description of that. But yeah, I think a community roles area is a good idea. I think we did discuss that before, but it kind of stagnated with me not pushing in those security ideas that I had. So I'll see what I can do with that if I get time in the next couple of weeks. I've got a pretty busy sprint this sprint, and it started today. So I'll see what time I can find in there, or out of hours, as it were. And yeah, see if I can contribute anything there.
Love that idea. But go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, so like I said, I'll hopefully be able to get this other team at work to help out as well. So I'll get them to chat on Slack and stuff and coordinate with you if you are looking to add to that. I was also thinking maybe that is a way of us supporting more use cases without introducing too much more complexity to the standard bunch of Ansible roles and stuff that we've got. Because we've got a lot of like if the environment's this, include this and bunch of stuff like that, which is getting at least for me very hard to follow, going from like one provider to another and one operating system to another. Maybe and I know not all of the things that we include are needed by everybody. Like a good example of that is recently we had the VM utils was included in a non VMware image because they were sharing some files or something like that. Maybe things like that might work better in this community roles, this community examples kind of thing, and then we could have like an easy way of pulling in from those roles, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the NVIDIA one's another perfect example of it, isn't it? You know, not everyone's going to need the NVIDIA stuff, so it'd be nice to move that into a community role section as well, I'd say.
Yeah, I like it. Any other comments on this topic? I agree. I mean, if you look through our stuff, it's pretty spaghetti in a lot of areas. It would be nice if we could somehow just compartmentalize things better. Cool. Anything else we want to talk about with regards to Image Builder? All right. I guess we're good for this week.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks for showing up. We'll see everybody in 2 more weeks.
Indeed. Have a good day or weekend, everyone, depending on where you are. Take care.
Thanks, folks.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.